His former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State under President Obama, Joel Rubin. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, there's so much going on here that, we got to get our heads around here. Do you expect to see Russia ramp up attacks as retaliation?
Yeah, Laura, it's always great to be with you. And yes, I do. I think that Russia right now is going to continue to advance. And why? Because they're not getting a red light from President Trump. You know, President Trump came into office saying that he would stop this war. But instead of doing anything to put pressure on Vladimir Putin to stop the war, he has basically said the pressure should go on Ukraine and let's just see what happens. And now he's threatening to walk away. So I think Vladimir Putin, he feels emboldened. He feels like he can respond aggressively. And now we're seeing cities attacked while Ukraine is attacking military targets. Russia is attacking civilians.
Yeah, one thing that came out of those talks in Turkey was this prisoner exchange that has now since been delayed. So when you take a look at the timeline, does it put a damper on possible future peace talks, or is it something that needs a pause?
Well, we have to have a ceasefire. I mean, look, as President Trump himself has said, 800,000 dead is too many dead. The problem is that our policy is not getting us to that endpoint. So, yes, to your question of this hostage exchange, prisoner exchange, that was a small little window positive that immediately got overwhelmed by renewed aggressive fighting. So the ingredients are there. The key is to get the parties to the table and have Vladimir Putin know that he also is being penalized for this war. And right now, he doesn't feel that pressure that Volodymyr Zelensky agreed to go to the table. Vladimir Putin is not. And so we're stuck in this continuing fighting.
Man, I also want to get your take on the war in Israel while I have you. The Freedom Flotilla carrying activist Greta Thunberg is expected to arrive near Gaza as early as today. And this trip, as we've been told, aims to deliver humanitarian aid and address the growing crisis in Gaza. However, Israel's defense minister is vowing today to block the aid boat from passing Israel's blockade. And that comes during a lot of chaos and criticism surrounding the rollout of aid in Gaza. So how is this going to play out? How do you see it? And how do you think it'll impact the chances of a ceasefire on top of it all?
Yeah, Laura, the situation is dire for the Palestinian people inside of Gaza. And there's an alternative mechanism that Israel and the United States have created called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which has had a very difficult and dangerous rollout. But, look, Hamas continues to fight. Hamas continues to, while they have lost this war militarily, put their people at risk. And so we see an unending fight that leads to more destruction for the Palestinian people. This flotilla, it's going to create headlines. It's going to get news internationally. It's not as if the world doesn't know that there's a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. What needs to happen is Hamas needs to surrender, admit defeat, and allow for the aid to flow in so it's not stolen by Hamas, but that it gets to the Palestinian people.
Yeah. And also, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does confirm that Israel is backing some claims that the Palestinians in Gaza that are against Hamas. And, when you take a look at that angle, could you see some sort of uprising in Gaza against Hamas?
I mean, it's a high-risk maneuver, without a doubt, to be arming gangs and families and alternatives. And I think that there needs to be a lot of caution on that. That is the roots of Hamas, in fact, in the early 80s, getting armed by Israel to oppose then Yasser Arafat. So this is a long, bad track record. But it shows you, again, that there are alternative voices in Gaza. The key thing is to not make it more of a military outcome, but to try to get Hamas to fully accept that it has lost and to surrender and to work with alternatives inside Gaza, in the Arab world, and even Arab Israelis to put an alternative political future forward for the Palestinian people to get real security in the region.
All right. Well, we appreciate you covering it all for us and talking us through. Former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State Joel Rubin, thank you very much for joining us on your Sunday. We appreciate it.